Okay, so I'm here at the European Climate Adaptation Conference in Rimini, and I'm speaking to Inigo Rodilla, who is project manager for the MAIA project, which is focused on maximizing the impact and accessibility of climate change research. So, Inigo, MAIA is a huge, complex project, lots of different work packages, lots of things going on. Can you tell me a little bit about what's been developed in the project, the tools and services and activities?
Okay, so MAIA has, in the end, MAIA has tools and outcomes, let's say, for every audience, but probably the core ones are those related with knowledge, that we have a specific work package working on knowledge tools or solutions to manage the already existing knowledge. And then, because these outcomes from the project is nothing if you don't exploit them, we have these discovery services or business services that allow us to generate kind of business models or business cases associated to research project, closing the gap between the research and the market and connecting the solution providers with the potential users.
Because at the moment, that's something that doesn't happen very often, right? With climate change research,
Correct.
It just stays.
Even we don't have solved that gap between but we also have a good common. Indeed, MAIA starts with this intention on how to make the knowledge, the existing knowledge, accessible, usable, interoperable. That's the part of the knowledge that I mentioned before. But then for sure, and it's a gap, all this knowledge that we are generating from research centers, from innovators, from universities, how to impact in our society. It could be in your town, in your economic system. But yes, it is true that we have this gap between research and the market, the businesses. But MAIA starts focusing in knowledge, in how to manage knowledge and maximize the impact. And for sure, this make us to go to the market to generate this real impact.
But it's not just businesses and markets, is it, that need this knowledge? Like there's also a work package focused on policy.
That it's impact. I don't remember who said this. It's not just impact. So it's not just income, but it's impact. So we go beyond business. This is like the second leg, but for sure then we have impact on policymakers, generating conversations through policy, joining science and civil society. We also have a really strong communication part with an itinerant exhibition, different events, conversations, interviews, narratives. The idea is not just to impact on markets, as you mentioned, but to impact everybody that could be engaged by this climate adaptation process that we are living. So this goes from the civil society, education at any level, from the really school to the universities, for sure policymakers, and final end users, so those decision makers, which are the governments at any level. And we really like to focus on the regional and trans-regional level, where most powerful decisions usually happen.
Yeah, so not so much at Brussels, but...
That it's also to listen, because in the end, adaptation has the dimension to manage. It's more on regional level, especially in countries as the ones that we are involved in, such as Spain, that at regional level you have so many differences in terms of climate. So it's not the same for the Canary Islands to the Basque Country where we come from.
Yeah, and then in Spain, obviously, there's the challenge that, each regional government has its own policies. So everything, it's not just a national government as it would be in the UK. So there's a lot of work going on. It's very complex. What have been some of the challenges in the project of, reaching all those different audiences, translating that research to them?
So probably inside the project, the first challenge was to solve the same challenge that we have at project, so as a European dimension, just to use a unique vocabulary, because in the project we're a quite
diverse.
Diverse group. So we have people from businesses, we have people from academia, we have people that it comes, for example, for communication or for policy, that it's climate is not your main area. For example, our colleagues from Regions 4, they are working with regions, but they are not 100% focused on climate adaptation. So first, it's mandatory to use a unique vocabulary, and I feel that once we get this unique vocabulary, things work much better. And now we are on that point that where everybody is looking at the same point and working together. But this first stage is even complicated at European level, but it's also at project level.
Yeah, I'm sure. So interesting that you mentioned vocabulary, because that's one of the tools that's been developed in the project,
Correct.
isn't it? A taxonomy. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, how to explain? It's something that I'm not even that familiar, but let's say that when everybody it's research, so when we make climate research, we do it from Oceania, from Asia, from Europe, and sometimes we use different words for the same issue. So, for example, floods. It could be a flood, it could be heavy rain, it could be whatever, river rises. So the idea is when talking on when looking for some information, this connectivity hub what helps is it's kind of a search engine. So you put information and it understands you on this is what you mean, and it returns you different information, like you have projects, entities, not just the definition, but it returns you, oh, you are looking for, I don't know, volcanic issues, I don't know, disasters. They bring you projects that are working on that, organizations working on that, papers, articles, and it's a really user-friendly navigation system because it works like with bubbles, and you just click and you start on, oh, disasters. I like to know more about this organization. You click, and then returns just the information, the organization as the core one, and on which projects they are working in, on which papers they were authors. So it's quite easy to get as much knowledge as possible. And other thing that is key in this process is trusted information, because when if you use Google and you said disasters, you are going to get information from blogs, social media that is not so. The most of the times are not trusted by science. These engines like the connectivity hub, the summarize, are fit with trusted information from EU-funded projects, so from deliverables, project results, papers. So you are getting in the end trusted information.
Right, yeah, because obviously I know one objective of MAIA is to combat misinformation, fake news, disinformation. So that those tools must be immensely helpful for that. And it also sounds like it makes networking that much easier, right, between different researchers.
That is to detect, because sometimes you don't get who's working on your own area because you're using the other vocabulary. Indeed, this is something that we didn't mention. In MAIA, from the very beginning, we also have a part of activities focused on building this network. So first, by activating a network of ambassadors, which is people external to the MAIA consortium. For example, from MAIA consortium, we don't have Portuguese contacts. How we may impact on Portuguese regions? We have an ambassador from a region in Portugal that she's kind of evangelist of MAIA, and she will attend events explaining people what MAIA is, and MAIA give her support with materials, with some economic support on how to disseminate this. And we also have the network of working groups on people working on climate adaptation, but on specific topics. For example, you are on the communication working group, and you are gathering all the people working on communication on climate adaptation. And this is really helpful to build these huge networks that allow us to engage more people and engage more information, trusted information, as we mentioned.
Yeah, it sounds like a very, very needed initiative. So obviously very complex, a lot of challenges. Are there any successes that you can share from the project so far, or any learnings for other people trying to achieve similar things?
I think the main learning is still the same as in all the projects from climate, is to listen to the people. Because sometimes especially from science, we are a lot in our world, and we don't listen what the people are expecting from science. So sometimes it's like, no, there are misinformation, fake news. Yeah, but the language that we use from academia or even from businesses and the governments, it's not, no, climate change. No, let's talk about it's heavy rain in Rimini today in June, or these heat waves that in Europe are more and more frequent in European capital cities. I think the main learning is first to be closer to the civil society and to the stakeholders in general, to turn back this information to academia, because we are thinking of maximizing the results from academia, but we also should be thinking on maximizing the expected outcomes from the society to make the academia, oh, hey, okay, they are waiting you on this spot, on this solution, on these challenges.
Yes, I think perhaps researchers can be quite narrow focused, very specialized, which is necessary, but and not necessarily think beyond, the lab or the research.
Thinking on impact, instead on just results or just my paper, thinking on how may I impact in my community, in my society, in my region.
Yeah. All right. So there's a lot going on in MAIA. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about the project?
So now we're on a critical stage, because after a couple years of in-house work, now is when the results are starting, and now is where I would like to invite people to engage on the activities, because we have plenty of activities on different levels. So even if you are from academia, if you're from local government, if you are from civil society, we have different activities and outcomes that could be interesting for you, not just on the project duration, but beyond, because these business cases maybe continued once MAIA ended, and same with the communication elements. This itinerant exhibition that has been a success in Italy, and now we are going to start on Spain and different locations along Europe. It's really interesting, not just for students, but for families to understand and the focus on the exhibition, it's on allowing the visitor to understand the importance on how this climate science starts. So which role has the cities, the European Union, the projects, the researchers, success cases, because it seems like we are not getting any success and things are happening. And those project results from 2020 now are implemented on cities, and cities are getting better and better adapted to climate change.
Yeah, I think it's also, for me, one of the interesting things about the exhibition and everything that we've been working on here is to see how hard it is for that information to trickle down into policy and then policy into action. So like you say, it's easy to say the politicians aren't doing anything. But once you start to realize how complex it is for them to access the information and translate it into actionable policy, it's you look at things with a different light,
Correct.
I think. Yeah. All right. So last question. What do you hope will be the legacy of the MAIA project?
I hope so. The best legacy, I would say, it's to have a better connectivity among information, civil society, the different stakeholders, that the one that we got before the project. So that feel that these services, toolkits, different elements on communication help to impact on new stakeholders, on new people, and people has a better understanding of the knowledge management on climate research in the European Union. I think it's the best legacy that we can provide is this, to let some seeds that will continue with the MAIA legacy. So from that seed that we have on 2020, on 2025, to get new opportunities that could be exploited separately by each of the partners, or let's see if together. But yeah, to just MAIA is like a trigger, and then we will see which are the consequences.
Yeah, well, it sounds like there's going to be some very interesting results coming out of this project. So if people are interested in the various tools that MAIA has developed, how can they access them or find out more?
Okay, so the main channel, as most of the cases, is the website. What I would like to invite people is to follow us or join the newsletter or follow us on social media. Why? Because every day we are creating new tools, materials. At this moment, we have access to you can request for a demo of the AI tool. You can also access the connectivity hub is 100% public through the website. The materials are on the website, but there is a toolkit with all the tools gathered in a download link so you can get all the information. But the most important is to keep updated, because it's going to be, and not just the outcomes, but the events. Because we are going to celebrate some events at the end of the project, and in case not just located in one venue, but if you would like to meet us in person, which is the most interesting part, to hold these kind of conversations, I think the most suitable one is to join the website, check all the information that is available, and join the updating channels such as the social media and the newsletter.
Okay, great. All right. Inigo Rodilla, manager of the MAIA Project. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.